All right, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Break on Coffee with Democrats. We are welcome today with a very special guest, a good friend of mine, a fellow Normanite, Representative Annie Menz. Good morning, Representative Annie Menz. How are you doing from House District 45?
Good morning. I am doing well. Really excited to be joining you for coffee this morning. Sun is shining, so I can't complain.
Absolutely. It's going to be a warm one this weekend when you're out doing your walks and knocking doors. It's going to be a really warm one. So, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what's going on in your part of the prairie?
Sure thing. Of course, the number one issue, I represent House District 45. So that's East Norman. So I've got a large rural area. And the number one issue in my district is the turnpike. And transportation in general, but most specifically the Turnpike and the Turnpike Authority. So I'm always taking meetings with constituents and working on ways to fight the Turnpike. I've done so legislatively and publicly, and that's just something that I'm very passionate about. I don't live in the projected path, though we don't really know where that is at the moment for sure. Um, but when something is personal to the people in my district, it's personal to me. So it's something that I'm passionate about, and that's something that I've been working on. And another big passion project of mine, which I think I'll probably go into a little bit more later, is expanding the school lunch program in schools. So, so that's universal free lunch is something that I'm very, very passionate about. Working on that.
Well, excellent. You know what? We were just together at it was the debate at the watch party. And oh my gosh, the excitement that we saw at that watch party for the Harris Trump. But it was people from all over Cleveland County who traveled into Norman, and we filled that hall. We had over 110 people in the in that little bar, and it's called Legally Brewed. It's and they're very good people. But oh my gosh, what was your feelings about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been to that brewery a couple times and never seen it that full. It was amazing. People are energized whenever you go to events like that. I did a shift at the Cleveland County Fair booth, and people were just so excited. In fact, I had folks who were working the Republican County Party booth leave their booth to come over to thank me for fighting the Turnpike. So I mean, there are these issues that we have common ground on. There are issues that we're not going to have common ground on. But I think when people are looking for smart ways to govern, they always look to the Democrats. I mean, that's who we are. That's what we do. We're good at governing, and we're good at taking care of people. And so even out on the doors, I'm knocking doors for Democrats. I'm knocking the doors of independents, libertarians, and Republicans, of course. And in all of those registrations, people are excited about the top of the ticket. They're excited to get out and vote for Harris and Walz, and it's showing, and it's also helping down ticket as well. I mean, I've run out of yard signs twice already. I'm getting a lot of support on the doors, getting volunteers signing up on the doors. So it's really good, and I'm glad that you brought up that event specifically, Kevin, because I spoke at it, and after I left, on my way out, I was saying bye to some friends who were outside smoking, and there was this random guy that just kind of came up and was like, "Y'all know this is a red state, right?" you know, and it struck me because it's like, dude, you're standing in downtown Norman, I know
Right.
where you are, but
Yeah.
also. Um, no, sir, it's not. He was stunned when I said, no, actually, it's not. It's a low voter turnout state. If more people signed up to vote and actually voted, this would not be a red state. You think that just because there are people who want you to think that.
Right.
Wake up, vote. That's all.
Yeah, and just like you said, if I'm just going back on my memory, we had about 1.2 million voters participate in the last midterm election in 2022, and left about 1.1 million people not doing anything. They did not participate at all. So again, if all the people who are out there and they've got this idea that my vote doesn't count, that is such an antiquated and it's a suppressive way of thinking that the Republicans want you to think that way. But in reality, if you just participated, that 1.1 million people would have had a big say in what is going on in our state. I mean, you just think about it. We could have gone with somebody besides Kevin Stitt as a governor. We had a great candidate. Joy Hoffmeister was one of our candidates. I think you know her and worked well with her. And then this dumpster fire that we could have called Ryan Walters. We could have eliminated that guy too. So people's vote really does count in this state, especially when we have such low turnout. And if we have what we think, I really think we're going to have big turnout in Oklahoma this time for a presidential election. I think because the excitement is just so overwhelming. I'll turn it back over to you. I want this to be your conversation less than mine.
Well, and I mean, you're right about that. I think if more people participated, listen, I mean, decisions are made by the people who show up.
Yeah.
And if you are comfortable letting all of your neighbors make all your decisions for you, I don't understand that, but that's your prerogative. But for me in my household, we will be involved and we will make our decisions ourselves. And I mean, just kind of going back to that brief conversation I had with the gentleman on the sidewalk, first of all, we were standing in Norman, right? Like I said, it's Norman's not red. But, had I my druthers in the moment, and not trying to leave to get to another event, I would have said, let's take a quick look at what you're talking about here. We're the sixth most poor state in the nation. Okay.
Right.
Our roads are crumbling. We are like 49th in education. Struggle with childhood poverty, crimes at an all-time high, homelessness at an all-time high. Yeah, you know what? That does sound like a red state to me.
Yeah.
Whenever people get out and vote, they vote about the things that matter. They're there because they want to protect their rights to their health care. They want to protect their right to choose what kind of car they want to drive, or who they want to marry, or whether or not they want to buy a house. I mean,
sure.
Or have a kid. Like these are our freedoms, and that's what's on the ballot.
And speaking of on the ballot, in order to cast your vote, people got to get registered, and we got a very limited time to do that. We've got between now and October 11th. That's Friday, October 11th is the last day in the state of Oklahoma that we can register to vote.
Yes, so don't sleep on that. If anyone listening is not registered, or if you've got grandkids who are not registered, or kids who are not registered, your neighbors, I mean, just make sure that everyone in your bubble is registered and they have an actual plan to vote. Because like I said, I'm out knocking doors, having conversations with folks, and I've had a couple people tell me already, like, we've been registered, but we haven't really voted, but we've made a plan this year. We're excited to go vote this year. So that's what we want to hear.
I went ahead and put up on the screen the iwillvote.com website. And we talked just briefly before we went live about a place where people who want to go vote, whose primary language or the language that they use that they most understand is Spanish. So I'll let you talk about that and how iwillvote.com actually benefits everybody.
Yeah, so I think that like I mentioned, there are a lot of issues on the ballot for a lot of folk, but for people in the Hispanic community, there's so much at stake for us in this election. I mean, it's going to be the difference between being able to go to work and feed our kids and take care of our families and be good members of society, or be deported or thrown in some camp somewhere. I mean, those are the choices really for us, for our community. And right now we're currently celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, And so I get to be involved a lot with the Oklahoma Legislative Latino Caucus. I'm a founding member, and then in the Latino community as well. And we're really trying to bolster um, registration for those citizens who are eligible to be registered, but for whatever reason aren't. Um, that's what we're trying to grow those numbers because, like I said, there's just too much at stake this year to stay home. So, mi gente, whoever you're listening to this, get signed up, register. Um, if you know any of your tias or tios that are citizens and they're eligible to register, get them registered and make sure that you have a plan to go vote.
And that really is should be something that is a big message out in western and northwestern Oklahoma, like Weatherford and Guyman, Oklahoma, where we've got a very large Hispanic population out there, and it's a growing population of Hispanic people, and we've got to do everything we can to reach out to them and make them feel welcome to participate in our civic responsibilities as U.S. citizens. And when
Yes.
they make citizenship, we really need to encourage them to participate. And one way to do that is through this website where they can actually follow along in Spanish and be able to and be encouraged to participate.
Yes, absolutely. And if they whether they were born here or they were born somewhere else and earned their citizenship, and have been sworn in as bona fide United States citizens, that means that they have a right to vote.
Absolutely.
Um, and it doesn't matter where they came from. If they are American citizen, U.S. citizens, they can vote, and they have as much skin in the game as the rest of us. And like you said, I mean, there are very large communities, Hispanic communities out in the rural reaches of the state, and yeah, we would really like to see more voter participation across the board.
Absolutely. I'm going to stop sharing that now because I'm going to go back to you and your campaign and show people your website and how to get to your website, and then give you an opportunity to talk about how people can help.
Thank you. Well, so right now, I did want to touch on the fact that it is Hunger Action Month. September is Hunger Action Month national, and so um, for me, I childhood hunger is a big thing that I've dedicated my life to fighting childhood hunger and childhood poverty. And one of the big things I've been trying to champion and working on is universal free lunches. And so that was one of the first bills I filed, just a universal free lunch for all kids, K through 12 in public schools in Oklahoma. That'd be breakfast and lunch in seconds if they want them.
Right, right.
And last year, I was able to host a bipartisan, bicameral, co-host bipartisan, bicameral interim study on this issue, and we were able to determine that if we leverage federal funding, which is our money, um, then we can pay for this, and it's a
Right.
lot cheaper than you might think. So at the end of the day, hungry kids can't learn. We can't
Hmm.
keep expecting them to have better educational outcomes, to have better test scores, to rise up in the national rankings when they're hungry. So, I mean, we're required by law to be in school. They should be fed while they're there. So, so that's something I've been working on. And now that it's Hunger Action Month, I've also been spending time at some of the local um, nonprofit organizations geared toward hunger and homelessness. And we have a lot of very compassionate folk here in Norman um, who also want to extinguish childhood hunger and poverty. And so that's there's always opportunity to get involved.
Right.
There's always opportunity to help your neighbors. To I mean, I'm going today actually to volunteer at Mission Norman. That's in my
Good.
district, and then next week I'll be at the Share Center at Food and Shelter. There's pantry partners. There's the Red Dirt Collective mutual aid fairs. There are little pantries all over town that you can just go and put some canned goods in if you don't have time to go give a couple hours at any of these places. If you, I mean, that's something that I've been really trying to rally people outside of asking for your help on my campaign specifically. Um, so, yes, we still need people to go and help us knock doors, drive people around and knock doors, write postcards, make phone calls, text messages. I mean, there are lots of opportunities to get involved with my campaign. You can sign up on my website. I also have a donation link there for my Act Blue. I'm a true blue Democrat for sure. So I've got that Act Blue link. Um, so if you don't have time to volunteer, or if it's still maybe a little bit too hot to get out, I totally understand that. I will still be out there, but if you are interested in chipping in, I would love it if you could pitch in. And like I said, the Act Blue link is there. Um, and then I believe October 3rd, Jacob Rosecrans and Jared Deck and I are going to be having a joint event at Volare. And that'll be probably like our only joint event for the cycle.
Okay.
So there will be opportunities to donate there, but of course, come see us. I don't think I have like a time specifically. The invites are going to go out, but I just wanted to plug that one real quick because I know, Kevin, you'll probably want to come, and you're of course invited. But I want to make sure that all of our Democrat friends are aware of it and know that we would love to see you there.
You said October 3rd. That's on a
Yes.
Thursday, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. That I will be coming back from Colorado that day. I've got to go on a mental health. I've got to go out there for some mental health to get away from campaigning, get away from all this stuff that we have to deal with on a daily basis, and
get that self-care, Kevin. I support it. I love it.
Thank you. I've got, I'm telling everybody I go get some wind therapy and altitude therapy.
There you go.
So thank you very much. And hey, I apologize, folks. I've tried to mute everything to make sure that you didn't hear me clearing my throat. I had COVID a couple of weeks ago, and it's still just kind of hanging in there, and I apologize for that. I really thought that I've got my microphone up here, and I thought I'd pushed the button. I apologize that came across. And especially to you, Representative Menz, you didn't need that.
No, that's okay. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Well, it's over with. It hits me every once in a while, and dadgummit, this is the worst time that it could have ever done that, and I apologize for letting that happen without getting it properly muted. But folks, Representative Menz, she's a great friend of mine. She's somebody that I support, I endorse. She is a proven leader, folks. That's the part about this that I really want you to pay attention to. She was elected in 2022. She's no longer a novice. She really made a place for herself in the legislature in the last 2 years. We got to send her back. And if you want a voice for the outcomes of the turnpike, you better pay attention to what's going on with her, because she is going to be an advocate for the people, not for the state. And she's going to work very hard. So people, pay attention. Vote for Representative Menz, because she will do everything within her power to fight that overreach by our government. And whatever the outcome is, she's going to help do things that are going to help the people. And that's the biggest part of that. Also, folks, make sure you pay attention about what's coming up in the next month with her, because if there's a way that you can go out and help, just driving around, providing some water, putting notes on people's doors, doing some texting, doing some phone call outreach, her team would be more than happy to have you come over and help out, because everything that you can do to support Representative Menz means a lot, and it will be very helpful for her reelection. And thanks so much for coming on. And I wanted to say this. I was shocked and surprised, and I don't know why I was shocked and surprised, but you are a Navy veteran, and I am just so grateful for you, for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you so much. It means so much to have people who are veterans who are running for office. Unfortunately, you couldn't join us on 9/11. We had a couple of candidates that were running, Kerry Keck out of Shawnee and Mitch Jacob that's running out of Newcastle. We had both of those veterans that were on. Unfortunately, your schedule wouldn't allow. Otherwise, you would have been with them, and you would have had a great conversation. But thank you so much, and we really look forward to having you come back on Coffee Break with Coffee with Democrats between now and November 5th to, again, encourage people to build your campaign.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you again. And we will be here again tomorrow. I've got a newcomer that's coming on running for Senate out of, it's going to be in the next, well, come back tomorrow. My mind is not with me right now, but I'll have, it is Brewer, Nathan Brewer running for Senate is going to be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So come back and join us then. Until then, people, everybody, please be safe.